Welcome back. Joe Blasco here for MUA TV and my very special guest and longtime friend, who I haven't seen in a while, by the way, and I'm glad to be seeing you.
Thank you.
Mr. Maurice Stein, ladies and gentlemen. Maurice Stein. Maurice, we go way back. Way back. I mean, further back than either of us want to admit.
Do you remember how far back?
Oh, yeah. I want to tell you something. Your father.
You remember?
Your father. There was a union. I think there still is. Does NABIT still exist?
Yeah.
NABIT still exists. Yeah, NABIT still exists. National Association of Broadcast Employees and Technicians. AFL-CIO, I think, maybe.
Yep, that's
something
what
like
it was.
that. And that union was a competing union, so to speak, with the IA, International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees, IATSE. And we who weren't part of the IA yet were members of NABIT. And there were some who were also IA members who were part of NABIT, and one of them was your father.
Correct.
Gene Stein.
That's right.
Spelled with a J. And you'll see Gene's name in the opening credits of our MUA TV broadcast every time it opens, 3-4 times a day. And I'll tell you why, because he was very special to me, and you probably didn't know this, he really helped me tremendously when I was just a kid. And I was given my union test by your father.
That I knew.
Yeah, yes, and he failed me the first time.
That I knew also.
He failed me the first time, and he came in and he said to me, he said, "Kid," he says, "you're really good, but I don't know. I don't know that I can pass you the first time." He says, I want you to go out and, it might look bad. He says, "I want you to go out and work 6 more months. Work 6 more months." And I got to tell you something, it's a good damn thing that I did, because I was really wet behind the ears, and he permitted me to get more experience, and it drove me harder. It made me move faster, and so that was your dad.
Were you 18? Or were you 19?
I was just 18,
Just
I think.
18.
I just turned 18.
You were young.
Yeah, because I had graduated high school early.
Well, yeah. You know what? He was very proud of you. He really was. He spoke about you a lot. He really did.
Oh, that's great to know.
And I had no idea that his name is up
Oh,
in
yeah.
lights on your program.
Oh, yeah, it's been up since the very beginning, since the first broadcast.
Well, that makes me even more excited to be here and to be one of your guests.
Well, it's good. It's good after so many years to see you again.
And
you've been busy. My God, you've been busy.
No, I'm retired.
No, yeah, right. You're retired like I'm retired. I don't think so.
I tell everybody that now that I'm retired, I only come into the business about 5 days a week.
Hey, only 5.
Yeah.
Instead of the usual 6 or 7.
7. Well, right now it is 7.
Yeah.
Because of our Halloween.
Halloween.
Yeah.
Now he has an incredible store in Burbank. Is it Burbank? It's Toluca Lake, right?
Toluca Lake.
It's Toluca Lake,
Well,
which is
Toluca
right
Lake
adjacent.
is part of Burbank.
Right, it's adjacent to Burbank, on Riverside Drive.
Right.
And you've had that store for a long time now.
24 and a half years.
That's amazing. Now, is it not in this location, because you had the other location first?
Well, we
Right.
were across the street from NBC,
right.
for 3 years and outgrew it really in 8 months.
Yeah.
But we couldn't get out of the lease for 3 years. So once we did, we moved to this location. And we've been there for almost 22 years now.
Right. It's a huge facility. You've got stock. He's got stock there coming out of his ears. And it's amazing during Halloween. I've never seen not just makeup, but costumes, wigs, decorative jewelry, for use during Halloween. But it's an amazing business that you've started. I mean, you've become famous for the Halloween business, aside from everything that you do in beauty makeup and everything that you've accomplished, because his store is, obviously, because he has history in Hollywood as a makeup artist. You did Golden Girls. I mean, there's all sorts of, we're going to talk about Maurice's career, but you've taken it beyond just a regular beauty supply, and you've built it into a business that during Halloween, it's like the place to go.
Well, what we actually did is during my movie and television career as a makeup artist and doing all the special effect movies,
right.
as well as the regular type of films and TV shows, I kept a lot of the molds and a lot of the things. And when I started Cinema Secrets, I started having people say, do you have anything left from that movie you worked on? I worked on a movie called MASH. And I had some injury molds left from that, and I had some molds left from Catch-22 and from Star Trek, and just different things, and I made pieces from them. And then we made more pieces and more pieces. And the next thing I knew, we had a Halloween business going, to where now we have probably about 75% of the store is transformed into a Halloween venue.
Right. Oh, that's amazing. That's really amazing. And Wuchi, the Wuchi products, Maurice Cinema Secrets bought the Wuchi company.
There was a
Tell us about that.
Well, there was a man by the name of Batson who passed away, and his children took over this little company where they made little artificial injuries out of latex. Exactly the same thing that we were doing. And because the man that created it passed away, the kids were trying very hard to keep the company going. They just were failing. My two sons, who are my partners, came to me and said, Dad, isn't there any way we can save the company and use it ourselves? Long story short, we bought the company, saved it, and kept adding to it. And because the name Wuchi, which means absolutely nothing. I never found out what it meant. But because he created the name, in reverence to him, I wanted to keep the name. So what we did is we said, it's Cinema Secrets presents Wuchi. And now Wuchi is known all over the world. I still to this day have no idea what Wuchi means, but people come in and they say, I want one of those Wuchi pieces.
Right. And there are a lot of them. There's foam latex, there's shell rubber, there's or slip rubber pieces. There's foam latex pieces, noses, cheek pieces, forehead pieces, cheek, chin pieces, everything.
Well, most of them they can go online and they can see them all now. And the nice thing is all the latex pieces, from a little piece that could be just a cut that goes on the face. One of our favorite ones that I love using is it's a bolt. And it's in two pieces. So you glue on one part of the bolt on this side, and you glue the other edge of it on here, and it looks like it's going through the face. But the beauty of all those rubber pieces, they can be used 100 times, and they're not expensive. $6, $7, $8 a piece. That's all.
Right. No, that's tremendous. That's great. But you have wigs. You have costumes. How did you get into the costume end of it as well? I mean, he's a one-stop shop.
Costumes was a mistake. We had all these makeup items, and then we needed some wigs to go with the makeups. And then people said, well, you have the makeup, you have the wig, what am I going to wear?
Right.
The next thing I knew, we hired some costume designers. We designed some costumes, and we started making it at our own facility.
And you're going to be seeing, because you're going to be seeing a tour that we videotaped at Cinema Secrets, and you're going to see really that these costumes are not the typical, inexpensive, cheap little costumes that you get, at a regular health costume type store. These are reasonably priced, but they're very, very high quality. And I mean, they're like right out of a clothing store.
We made it a point to have costumes that the average person could enjoy wearing, but would not have to worry about it taking all the money out of their pocket.
You're competing with Western costume. I bet you're giving them a run for their money.
You know what? The president of Western Costume is a young man who I grew up with working on the set. He was a costume designer. Many times he sends people over to us to buy costumes. And many times when people come to us and say, we want something more high-end, we send them over to Western Costume. So we don't really compete.
Yes. Now you have Cinema Secrets makeup also.
Yeah, we created a line of cosmetics about 19 years ago. And it's done very well. We sell it in the studios. My enjoying of it is working with cancer survivors and burn survivors. That's really what I do more than anything.
Yeah, that's really incredible what you're doing.
I use it to work with people who have skin discoloration problems. And I call that my hobby, because to me a hobby, if you think about it, a hobby is something you do in your spare time that you get a lot of enjoyment out of, and the bottom line, it usually ends up costing you a lot of money.
Right.
Isn't that
But
what-
you're helping a lot of people.
Well, that's why I do it. And I work locally here. I work with Children's Hospital, and I work with the Shrine Hospital here with their burn survivors.
That's true.
And I worked with a young lady that came over from Iraq. She had brain cancer, and they removed the top of her skull to clean it up, and she had no hair left. So one of the things they wanted to do was to do some kind of a transplant on her. So I did some consulting work, but the side of her face also needed makeup so that she could go back into society without people
Right.
staring at her.
Yeah.
And by putting the makeup on, she was able to go out into society
Right.
and look natural.
Do you work with plastic surgeons? at all?
I have a
Reconstructive
lot
surgeons?
of plastic surgeons that call me, and a lot of them carry our product, but a lot of them use me for consulting purposes.
Well, they're smart. They're smart because they know that when they call you, you know, you come from years and years of experience in the business. Let's talk about that. How'd you get started? When did you know that you wanted to be a makeup artist? Your father is a makeup artist, right?
Father was a makeup artist. He was a police officer many years ago.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, my father. Actually, you want to hear something funny? I was doing a pilot called The Police Story, and the producer of The Police Story was telling me about a project that he was working on. And while he was talking to me, he's telling me about this space project that he's working on. And he's telling me about these aliens and everything and all the special effects. And he's liked me to work on it and maybe, gaff the thing. And I said, this was in 1961 when I was just starting. And I said, this is really just a little bit above and beyond my pay scale. I said, but I think you should talk to John Chambers, who's the man that created Planet of the Apes. I said, because he's really the person that can. Meanwhile, we're talking, he's writing John's name down,
Right.
and we're talking a little. He says, well, would you like to work on it with him? And I said, well, sure, but now we're still talking. And he says, by the way, what's your last name? And I told him, because he knew my first name only. He says, oh, Stein. Yeah, he says, I knew a Stein. I said, really? He says, yeah, he was my partner.
Oh my God.
Your partner in what? He says, well, when we were cops. I said, my dad was a cop. And he goes, was your dad Gene Stein? And I said, he grabs me and gives me a hug. And he gives me a kiss on the cheek. He goes, your father was my partner when we were cops.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Oh
So
my God.
Gene Roddenberry, the man that created Star Trek,
Yes.
was my father's partner when they were
So
in their...
Gene Roddenberry was a police officer.
He was a policeman
Oh,
before
my
he was a
God.
big producer.
So we have two Genes.
Yeah, Gene Roddenberry.
Yeah, Gene Roddenberry is spelled with a G,
Yeah.
G-E-N-E, and your father was J-E-A-N, right? That's an amazing story.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Thank you for sharing that with us.
And that's probably how, I don't know if it was because I was a good makeup artist or because my father was his partner when he was a police officer.
Now,
You
tell me
could
this.
Talk
You-
about
But
nepotism.
what was it like growing up in Hollywood with your father being a makeup artist?
Well, my father, I guess during that generation, was like a lot of other fathers. It was like, you're on your own, prove yourself. And a lot of fathers were like that. And I feel that it was, as he said to you got to go back out and you got to prove yourself. That's why he flunked you the first time, and you said it was the best thing that
Do
ever
we have to
happened.
talk about that again?
No, but it's true. With me, it was the same thing. My father didn't help me because he wanted me to be able to stand on my own 2
That's right.
feet. I never resented it.
Yeah.
Because I've always done that.
It made
my
you
whole
stronger.
life. And I have 3 partners
Yes.
in my business.
Yes.
My wife. I have 4 partners. My wife and my children.
Yes.
They're all equal partners.
Yes.
They all carry their own weight.
Yes.
I have one son who was a makeup artist.
Which one is the makeup artist?
The oldest one, Michael,
Michael.
was a makeup artist. He was the second
Doesn't
makeup
Danny
artist.
do makeup? Danny does
No,
makeup.
Michael quit college and became a makeup artist. He was the second makeup artist with me on Golden Girls.
Oh my.
So after I retired and went back into the industry
Right.
on Golden Girls, I got to do my retiring years working with my son. I couldn't have asked
That's great.
for a better way. My
And on
younger,
such a great show, too.
my
What a
younger
fun
son
show.
was a college graduate, and that's what he does in the business now, the marketing and the business end and the accounting.
Right.
My daughter quit college and went to cosmetology school. So she runs the beauty, wig, and the hair care part of the company. She does all the ordering and the business end of that.
Is Michael working as a makeup artist in the industry as well?
No, not anymore. He's
So
too
you
busy.
keep him very busy.
He runs the whole Halloween division.
Wow.
And the special effects division.
Wow.
So that's a multi-million-dollar business right
That's
now.
amazing. That's great.
It's growing and growing and growing.
Yeah.
Isn't there a commercial about growing? Something. Yeah.
You know what we're going to do? Speaking of commercials, we're going to stop just for 1 second, and we're going to be right back with Mr. Maurice Stein. Don't you go away.